Hey, welcome to the Sunday preview for this 25th Sunday in the year, and we have the Gospel of Mark from chapter 9. It says, Jesus and his disciples left from there and began a journey to Galilee. And he did not wish anyone to know about it. He was teaching his disciples and telling them, "The Son of Man is to be handed over to men, and they will kill him. And 3 days after his death, the Son of Man will rise." They did not understand his saying, and they were afraid to question him. They came to Capernaum, and once inside the house, he began to ask them, "What were you arguing about on the way?" But they remained silent. They had been discussing among themselves on the way who was the greatest. Then he sat down, called the 12, and said, "If anyone wishes to be first, he shall be the last of all and servant of all." Taking a child, he placed it in their midst, and putting his arms around it, he said, "Whoever receives one child such as this in my name receives me. Whoever receives me receives not me, but the one who sent me." The Gospel of the Lord. Well, when you hear bad news, it's very easy to go into denial. And the gospel shows us that over and over again, Jesus was trying to bring up this question of his suffering and death and explain why it had to be that way to his closest friends. And it says they were afraid to ask him any questions about it. And it was obvious that they just were in denial and didn't want to really think through what it meant that the Messiah had to suffer and die. But at the same time, that was the key to understanding Jesus Christ and understanding how they're supposed to be disciples. Because without the cross, Christianity is just a bunch of commandments and rules and nice inspirational words, perhaps. But it's the mystery of the cross and suffering and death of Jesus, and consequently ourselves as well in our suffering. That's really the key to understand Christ and ourselves. And then Jesus catches them, when he gets back to the house in Capernaum. It turns out they've been arguing about who's the most important of all of them. Peter was probably saying, "Well, Jesus appointed me Pope." And the others were saying, "Yeah, but we're smarter than you." Or St. John was probably saying, "But yeah, Jesus loves me the most." And Jesus just shows them how silly all that is. And he does that by taking that child and putting it in front of them and saying, "You have to be like a little child to enter the kingdom of heaven." And that's exactly it. It's the humility and the simplicity of a child, not the grasping for power and leadership and influence, because as long as we stay on that level, we can't possibly understand Jesus and the gospel. And as usual, St. James, one of the readings for today, he's always got a helpful perspective, on it. He's very practical. And he says, you're always fighting and you're always at war with each other. Where does that come from? It comes from that inner tendency to greed and to envy. And instead, you have to be peaceful and compliant and meek and merciful. And those are the qualities of somebody who's simple like a child and humble like a child. That's the disposition that we need to really grasp Jesus and the mystery of his suffering and death. We have to be willing to come last if we want to be the first.